Recording now?
Yeah, look.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
You're on.
So, hello everybody. My name is Ahlmeirah, Ariel, Hallaire, and this is Nicholas David Mann.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you for joining us. This is my first time doing a webinar, so please excuse me if I look a little bit nonplussed. The technology is a little complicated, and Nicholas has very kindly come here this evening to help me with it. So the point of this webinar is to tell you a little bit about divine healing, what it is, and also to give you a kind of a little experience. So it's not just theory, but also you get to really have a feeling for what it could be for you or what it could do for you in your life. So we have prepared a little presentation. Should I go to that? Yeah.
Share screen.
Oh, sorry. So no, hang on. Just gonna go tick. I go what? Share screen?
Yeah, share screen.
Okay.
Go to
There.
Where's your PowerPoint?
Share screen. And then I go to PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got it now.
Great. So this tool, divine healing, is a kind of a magical key. So this is why I picked this picture with the key, which is going into the other dimensions. It's a multi-dimensional key that basically helps you to awaken. That's it in a kind of a nutshell. And the point of the training is to really help you to transform your life and to understand and transform things that are blocking you, because we are manifestors. We are continuously manifesting our reality from moment to moment. The problem is that we also manifest things out of our subconscious, and there's a lot of garbage in our subconscious, so we manifest blockages and problems and issues and difficulties.
Things we don't like.
Indeed. So the whole point of divine healing is to give you a tool so that you can understand what's blocking you and then actually shift it. And as a result of that, lots of things can happen. So your dreams can come true. We all have dreams. We all have ideals that we aspire to, things in our heart that maybe we've never shared with anybody. We all have huge innate potential. We're all full of qualities and gifts. And this training helps you to develop those gifts and those qualities so that you can share them with the world. Of course, in order to do this, we also need to heal, because we need to heal the stuff that's in our subconscious. And as a result of this healing, something happens, which is basically that you reconnect to your essence, to your true essence. And also as a result of that, your life force gets freed up, so you feel much more alive, much more energy, much more fun, much more joy. And you start to feel like you are actually the master of your life, as opposed to life doing things to you.
You're feeling like a victim. Some of us feel.
Yes. Well, most of us have started off in life feeling like that. I certainly have.
Yeah, me as well.
So, what is divine healing? Well, as the first picture suggested, it's a kind of multi-dimensional healing system whose purpose is to open to grace. So I want to explain that word multi-dimensional. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, so there can be a few interpretations of that.
Yeah. So the way I use the word multi-dimensional is really about encompassing all the different facets of who we are. Because as humans, we have so many different parts of us. So we have obviously our physical body. That's the bit that we can see and touch. But we also have energy bodies, emotional body, mental body, spiritual body. So the multidimensional word means that it encompasses all of those facets that we don't see. But it also means, when we talk about the word multidimensional, it means that we're also accessing our past lives, maybe also our future lives, and also we're accessing our ancestors. So the word multidimensional basically means that when we heal with divine healing, we are not just healing in this moment, but we're also healing the past. We're healing the present, we're healing the future, we're healing the ancestors, and we're healing across time and space. So as a result of this, you get really profound healing. And this is why it says here, this provides a simple, quick, and profound and accurate set of healing tools. Because the healing that you encounter with divine healing goes so deep and it's so rapid and it's very, very effective, and you notice rapid changes in your life. Of course, as you heal, you also reconnect to much more of your spirit, much more of your higher self, and you feel empowered. And for me, divine healing is really a key to enlightenment. I know it's a very big word to say that. It's a very big statement. But I have been on this path of growth for at least 25 years now. And I learned many, many different tools and tried lots and lots of different techniques. And I can honestly say that it's not until I got divine healing into my life that things started to really move forward. I'm not saying that the other tools are not good. They all have a place. Every tool has a place. But divine healing is one of those really rapid processes. And if you're going through a spiritual process where you are on a rapid path of growth, with lots and lots of things transforming all the time, lots of shifts, lots of things to clear all the time, divine healing really gives you one of those keys to managing that process of growth, that process of enlightenment. Because enlightenment is not an end point, it's a kind of process. That's how I see it anyway.
We've been working on ourselves about 10 years using divine healing, 11 now actually, since you first taught the first level 1. And I can say for myself that my life's totally changed so rapidly in that time. Issues which I thought were going to take forever to work through, divine healing just sliced through them, and it's a pleasure actually being able to clear something and you just feel so much better afterwards as each layer of the ego peels away.
Thank you for that, Nicholas. So here we've got some pictures that try and explain a little bit about what's going on. So inside each of us, there is a kind of flame. So this is the flame in the middle of the picture here. There's a flame or a light. And for me, that flame or that light is really our true self, is who we are. And when we're connected to that inner flame, we feel centered, and we feel alive, and we feel healthy. And we feel connected to our life, if you like, and the people within it, and to what's going on. However, the experience of being incarnate on Earth means that this flame gets covered over with layers. So here we've got a picture of an onion, and an onion is basically made out of layers, so it's actually a very good metaphor. So there are many, many layers, many more than are represented in this picture. And all these layers basically hide that light that's in the middle of us. So of course, it's a little bit, you can also think of it as the sun. You know, the sun is always there, but we don't always see it because there's lots of clouds in the sky, especially in England. So the idea with divine healing is that we can peel away these layers in the right order, because there's a kind of order. And then as these layers peel away, more and more of that light can shine through. That's the idea. Yeah?
Yep.
So actually, the funny thing is that the onion is actually a good analogy, because it's not just layers like an onion, but an onion is also a little bit smelly, and it makes you cry, you know, when you cut an onion. So I think this metaphor is very apt, because all these layers in the onion, they create suffering. And so we can have tears in our eyes or tears in our heart. We don't always show our tears, of course, but they're there all the same. So this slide is a kind of illustration of how I see the path of growth. And in the West, in the Western world, we've been very much conditioned with the Judeo-Christian polarity consciousness, which thinks of things as good and bad, or light and dark. And this creates a lot of duality, and it also creates a lot of conflict, in a way. Because if we have a bad thought, or if we act in a way that's not very conscious, then we start judging ourselves, and that even creates more trouble. But in the East, especially in the Buddhist model, they think of things quite differently. And so this picture is trying to illustrate it. So here we have a picture of some mud, very kind of juicy mud. And the mud is supposed to represent all our emotional separation patterns, you know, our stuff, our blocks, our issues, our conflicts.
All the stuff we'd rather avoid feeling and dealing with.
Exactly.
Still happens to us.
But in Buddhism, in the Buddhist model, they think of the mud as being the fertilizer. And out of the mud, this beautiful lotus can grow. And the lotus is supposed to represent consciousness. And so in this model, basically they're saying that out of our stuff, out of our programs, we can use our stuff to grow. And then when we grow, we create beautiful flowers, which is what I was saying earlier on in another way. I was talking about when you heal, you release all these beautiful gifts and qualities inside. And of course, then you can share them with the world. That's what we're all here. We've all got tons and tons of gifts and qualities, which are all extremely varied.
Yeah, great gifts do come out of the mud, speaking from experience.
And one of the things about gifts and qualities is to really find out what are your gifts, as opposed to wishing you had somebody else's gifts. So for years and years, I tried to be like Nicholas.
Oh, did you?
I wanted to be a techie like Nicholas.
That's all right.
Until I realized that it wasn't my forte.
It wasn't going to work.
It wasn't going to work.
Which is why I'm here today.
So one of the beautiful things is that when we realize our gifts, everybody has a place. Because Nicholas is really good with techie stuff, and I'm really good at teaching. So between the two of us, we can create this beautiful video.
Yep.
Hopefully, anyway. So this slide is trying to illustrate what happens with healing. So this red blob here is supposed to represent the issue. And the blue kind of sparky bit here is about being able to bring consciousness to the issue. So there's a few different steps in healing. The first step I would say is that you need to have the desire to heal. If you don't have the desire to heal, you can't heal.
Yeah, nothing's going to happen.
Nothing's going to happen. So it's pointless trying to fix people who don't want to heal. I've tried, and it's like banging your head against the wall.
There's no thanks given for this.
You get nowhere. So this desire to heal has a very powerful effect because it creates a kind of momentum. This is represented here by this blue arrow. And this momentum gives some energy towards healing. Then the other aspect that's important is about identifying what is the issue. So there's lots of different ways of identifying the issue. Some people like to go to a therapist or a psychotherapist, and they can talk and talk and talk and find out what the issues are. With divine healing, we tend to bypass the mind because we have different charts that help us to identify the issue. So we don't need to spend hours and hours and hours going through memories and
we use the higher self to diagnose what actually the core issue is quite quickly.
So that's the second step. And then the third step is to let yourself feel the issue. And there is a saying in healing that says, what you feel, you can heal. So the more we can feel our issues and the more we can own them, the more we can heal them. And this sometimes takes a little bit of training because a lot of us have learned to be numbed out. So this is represented here by this green layer that Nicholas has drawn here. So here we have the issue, the red thing, but there's a layer of numbness outside it. So when we have a lot of numbness, it's a bit more difficult to heal. And the thing about it is that we all have learned to do this. It's part of our training.
It's part of how the ego keeps us stuck in the way we are. We'd rather have that than us feel better about ourselves.
But it's also about how we're brought up. You know, when you go to school, you learn to use the left brain. So you learn to use reason. And reason is about controlling the emotions. We don't learn to feel, and we don't learn to be intuitive.
No, certainly not.
Yeah. So in this case, divine healing is very helpful because when you identify the issue, sometimes when you identify the issue, even though you can't feel it, just hearing the truth of it helps you to connect to it. And so the fact that there's that connection, then you can heal, which is what this slide illustrates. So this blue kind of spark here is when we make a connection to the issue. And we go, yes, okay, I have this. So it takes courage, of course, to recognize our issues and to go, yes, you know, I'm afraid of this, or I have a conflict in relationship to this, or I judge myself with regards to this. But when we allow ourselves to recognize our issues, something magical happens. Because when we don't recognize our issues control us. That's how the subconscious works. But when we recognize our issue, then we become the master.
And the issue knows its life expectancy is very short.
Yeah.
As a result of that.
It's like when you recognize the issue, it's like you have the reins. And before you have the reins of the horse. And before you recognize the issue, it's like the horse is running wild. And it's the one who's running the show. Yeah? So, as a result of recognizing the issue, and then we can, when we allow ourselves to feel, something happens. a shift happens. And in the group, if you're interested in coming to the training, in the group we spend a lot of time focusing on how do I feel the issue, and lots of people feel it in different ways. Everybody's got a different way of feeling things. And we learn also to own our issues in a very safe way. The next step is about asking Spirit to move the energy. So we do this by using what are called command codes. And when we ask Spirit to move the energy, something magical happens. We call it grace. Grace descends. So I know grace is a very emotive word because it sounds very maybe Christian, maybe biblical. But I'd like to suggest the word grace outside of the context of the Bible, in terms of that it's an energy that we have access to all the time, that the universe can be there, and it can be pouring light onto us all the time. But the thing is that we don't always accept that light. So within the divine healing context, it becomes much easier to accept this light. And then something happens. We get a release of the energy. Something lets go, something shifts. So that red bubble shifts. And then as a result,
you feel a lot better.
You move forward in your life.
Yeah.
That issue is no longer holding you back.
Yeah.
You can go forward.
And sometimes, often, it feels like the issue was never there once it's gone.
That's true. That's the remarkable thing about divine healing. That when you think back on the issues that you've worked on, you go, oh, I remember having that, but it's gone. So the mental body remembers, but you don't remember it in any other way. So this slide illustrates how we are built. This is a model that I learned many, many years ago, and it's actually coming from India. And it's a really beautiful model because it illustrates in a very simple way basically our multidimensional self. So there are two parts here that you can see. There's a square down at the bottom here. There's actually a rectangle in this picture. And then a triangle. So this bottom bit here, this represents the personality. Excuse me. And the personality is the part of us which is impermanent. And it's made up of 4 different parts. So there's the physical body, like I talked about earlier on, the bit that we can all see and touch. Then there are the energy bodies. And I'm sure you've heard about the energies. You can heal. You can heal through energy via acupuncture. For example, this is working with energy. Then we have the emotional body. And then we have the linear mind. So these 4 bodies here represent the personality. And this is where we hold all our separation patterns, or most of our separation patterns. And most of our separation patterns are actually in the mental body, so where we have limited thinking. So, for example, we think that we're no good. Yeah? That's a limited thought. Or we think that we'll always be poor. It's a limited thought. And then these thoughts affect our emotional body. So, for example, if we think that we're always going to be poor, then we have feelings maybe of depression or maybe of anger.
Unworthiness.
Yeah, we feel no good. We feel unworthy. We maybe have some shame.
Yeah, all good stuff.
Yeah. And then if these thoughts and emotions are there for long enough, they will start to affect our energy bodies. And they'll start to affect our meridian system and our chakra system. And then if you leave it long enough, eventually these negative thoughts and negative emotions will start to manifest in the physical body. And that's when we start to have physical problems.
Yeah, physical illness.
Physical illness, exactly. So this model clearly illustrates how physical issues happen. And the good thing is that it also shows how we can heal them. So I'm going to get to this in a minute. So now I want to talk about this triangle here, this upper bit. So there's 3 parts to this. And this triangle represents the higher self. This is the part of us that is permanent. So down here we have the non-linear mind. It's also called the manas. So the non-linear mind is our mind which is available and able to perceive truth and perceive something just like that. So for example, when we look at a sunset and we experience a sense of awe, and in that space we have a sudden flash of intuition about what's the right action with regards to something that we want to do. That's accessing our non-linear mind. And so everybody on earth has a non-linear mind, but not everybody knows how to access it. But basically when we access our intuition, we're accessing our non-linear mind. And here Nicholas has put a lovely example of Mozart, who basically just downloaded his music. He was renowned for writing his music with no corrections. It was like dictation from his higher self.
Symphonies at the age of 7. Mm.
So then here we have the Buddhic body, which is the higher emotional body. And we all have access to this Buddhic body. And basically, we access this when we experience higher emotions, something like awe. So sometimes if you can be touched by beautiful music, for example, maybe even Mozart's music, you might have an experience of bliss, or an experience of awe, or an experience of deep gratitude. And this is a higher emotion. Whenever we experience unconditional love, or when we have altruistic emotions like wanting to help humanity or wanting to make the world a better place, these are higher emotional body emotions. And then lastly, over here, we have the Atmic body, which is the God self. So this is the part of us who is a master, the master of our life, and who knows exactly why we're here and what we're doing. So here you can see there's a little arrow on the left-hand side, which illustrates that as you go up these bodies, the frequency goes higher and higher. So that means the energy bodies are at a higher frequency than the physical body. The mental body is at a higher frequency than the emotional body, etc., etc. And you can see this little blue line here between the higher self and the personality. This is called the Antakarana. And it's basically your connection between the personality and the higher self. And when we die, this Antakarana gets cut off. So that's why Nicholas has written here, it keeps you alive. So this Antakarana here, for a lot of people, it's just a little thread. And that thread, as is written here, keeps you alive. But what happens is that as you do healing and meditation and spiritual work, is that this antakarana gets broader. You can see here it's getting broader. So often it starts out as just a little thread, and then it becomes a rope. And then it can become a little tiny footpath. And then it gets wider and wider, and then it can become a little road. And then it can become an A road. And the more and more meditation and practice and healing that you do, the wider and wider the antakarana becomes. So this has a very powerful effect, because the wider the antakarana becomes, it means there's a bigger connection between the higher self and the personality, which also means that the power of the higher self and the high frequency of the higher self inundates the personality. And this creates very powerful shifts. So this is what happens when you use divine healing more and more, is that the divine healing practice has the effect of opening up this antakarana wider and wider and wider, until it becomes like the proverbial M25.
Superhighway.
5 lanes on each side. And so this picture here basically represents a person who is fully connected to their spirit. And of course, this is the path of enlightenment. So this is a process. It happens gradually. And it's not a linear process. There's ups and downs on it. Excuse me. I need to warn you, actually, that I'm clairsentient. And when healing is happening, or when there's an energy shift happening, it comes through my body. And one of the ways it comes through my body is that I burp. So I need to apologize for this. I know it's not very ladylike, but basically I just burped there because there was an energy shift. And another one here. And another one, excuse me. So if this starts happening to you, by the way, while you're listening to this webinar, don't worry about it. It's not something to be afraid of. It's actually a very good sign. It means that you're shifting. There are other signs that you're shifting. Some people yawn or sigh. And some people experience little tinglings in the body, tingling sensations. Some people have a feeling of either hot or cold sensations. So that's also a sign that you're shifting. Sometimes you want to cough. Sometimes you want to laugh.
Or yawn.
Yeah. And the other funny thing that sometimes happens is some people start to shake a little bit. You know, like the head starts to shake. Or,
They get very cold.
Yeah.
That happens.
So there's lots of different ways that the shifting can happen. So I'm just wanting to let you know, because this may happen as you're watching this webinar, that you start to feel funny symptoms in your body. And it's basically because you're getting a transmission and your body's releasing. So sorry, this slide has got nothing to do with what I've just been talking about. I just did a little aside because I started burping, so I thought I might explain a little bit about that. So this slide goes back to what I was talking about earlier on, that the path of growth is not linear. So this little dotted line here represents following the path of the ego, which is the path of all our limited programs. So when you keep listening to the voice of the ego, which says that you're not good enough, and that you'll always be poor, and that you're a victim of life, etc., etc., this is the path of suffering. Yeah? And we all know this path, so I don't need to talk about it too much, I think. And what happens is that once you start to grow, you start to use a different path, which is basically the path that your spirit is guiding you along. And everybody has a completely different path. So it's very important never ever to compare ourselves to anybody else. And this path here is illustrated here by this thick black line. So this is the path of spirit. But you see, the path of spirit is not a straight line. Often we go off, see? We go off on a tangent and then we come back. And at first we go off on really big tangents, and then the tangents get smaller and smaller. The tangents are smaller and smaller. And gradually we learn to converge so that we're pretty much on the path of spirit all the time. And this is also illustrated here in this picture. This is a different way of illustrating it. That this little ball here, this little blue ball, represents the little ego. So the voice that says, you know, I'm no good, I'm poor, etc. And when you follow your spirit, this little ego has to expand. And then you expand beyond it. And so your reality shifts to this much greater, vaster way of looking at life. Do you agree with this, Nicholas?
Yeah, it's just an expansion of consciousness, and it's letting go of being, I guess, a prisoner of the ego, really, of believing everything it says. Most of what it says is not true.
So the effect of the divine healing here, you see this little blue arrow here in the middle. This is a different way of explaining what I was talking about earlier on. That as you use divine healing, you will shift from this path here, the path of suffering, to this path, the path of following spirit. This is a really nice little illustration. So this is a beautiful slide here. And it illustrates really nicely what happens as you heal. So imagine here that this is the point of birth here. Yeah? And as you're born, usually most people have some kind of traumas around birth. You know, birth is usually not an easy thing. A lot of people have quite a challenging birth.
About a third of our life experience is created from the point of conception till birth. That whole, arriving in, incarnation, the prenatal time in the womb, and the actual birth itself has a major impact on our life experience.
So what happens is that when we have some kinds of shocks or traumas, it creates blocks. So these red blobs here are illustrating the blocks. And when we have blocks, as this picture illustrates, our life force gets diminished. There's less energy available. And then when you clear the blocks, you have all this energy available. Yeah? So a lot of people, one of their main symptoms is that actually they feel no life force or very diminished life force. And this creates a feeling of having low energy, maybe pain in the body, in different parts of the body, and also lots of limitations in your life.
Feeling like there's nowhere to go, nothing's going to happen.
And also that your creativity is diminished. This is a key one. So what happens is that when you do healing, see initially we have this is the issue, this is the numbness around the issue. And then we bring consciousness and healing. And then the healing dissolves the issue. And then as a result, we have all this increased life force. So that's actually how healing, the divine healing works. So people's gifts get revealed from practicing divine healing and from receiving it. And it's basically, they were there all the time. It's just they were hidden. That's basically the idea.
Pretty much, yeah.
So the practice of divine healing, by unblocking the gifts, suddenly they're available. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm still learning how to use PowerPoint. So this pretty much takes me to the end of the explanation. And what I'd like to do now is to give you a direct experience. Unless there's something you'd like to add, Nicholas.
I think it pretty much covers it. I think our ego sort of creates the illusion that there is no way out, but actually divine healing is quite sneaky, and it comes with the ego with love, really. So we can just gently let go of all those things which we feel are permanent fixtures. Most of the noise in our mind is just the ego telling us big fibs, really. And once you clear a lot of the belief systems and hidden agendas, you realise it's not that, actually was just noise. So when I'm having a bad day, I just remember that over half of what my mind is telling me is not true, you see. And then I go off and clear it with divine healing all the time. So Ahlmeirah is going to give you a direct experience of divine healing, and it's just as powerful watching the video later as it is in person. So we hope you enjoy this.
So my intention is that everybody who watches this video receives a healing. And in healing, intention is very powerful. So, you may be watching this video 1 month or 2 months or 6 months, and you'll still feel a shift because I put this intention in place. So I've already opened this space up before we did this little webinar. And the first thing I want to do...
I'll show the main on the screen.
Oh yes, you're absolutely right. Thank you, Nicholas, for reminding me. So if you go to Acrobat over there on the right. Okay. So this is how the manual looks. Let me just make it a little bit smaller so you can see better. This is the front page. And this little spiral here is supposed to represent our 12-stranded DNA, which is another way of representing our fully conscious selves. And here there's the name of 2 other ladies, Shakira and Mary, who were the co-creators of this work. So here you can see the index. So basically the manual is made up of 26 different charts, with one for each letter of the alphabet. So you can see there's a chart for angels, and there's a chart for chakras, and there's a chart for emotions. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work with this chart here. It's called Interferences and Blocks from Outside Influences. Shall I go to the page?
I think you can just go straight from here.
Yeah. So basically, these are like negative energies that become attached to us when we're vulnerable. And for example, when we have a shock or when we have surgery, we can be vulnerable. And then these negative energies can come and get attached to us. And they're low frequency energies and they make us feel low. That's what their job is actually, is to make us feel low. So the first things I'm going to clear are called earthbound souls. So basically these are souls that have left their physical body, but somehow they've got trapped in this 3rd dimension. So they're not nasty in and of themselves, they're just hanging out in the wrong place. And they tend to attach themselves to people that they feel a resonance with. So I'm going to do the clearing for this. I'm going to do this silently. Very often when these energies release, you can experience either a feeling of sadness or grief, or you may have a feeling of cold. So if that happens, don't worry, it's actually a good sign. It means there's a healing happening. And this is very positive, both for you and for these earthbound souls, because basically I'm going to release them back to the higher dimensions, which is where they're supposed to be. apologies again for all this burping. But it's actually a good sign. It means there's a shift happening. Thank you. So this can take a few moments. You may also feel some tingling in your body. Some people feel a little bit dizzy as well when there's a shift happening. Have you noticed that?
Sometimes, yeah. And the room's just got brighter as well.
Mm. So I'm going to clear some more interference energies. So I'm getting the guidance to do this particular clearing, which not everybody has. Not everybody has this type of interference. But when it releases, you feel a lot better. So whoever this healing is for, I hope you feel lighter afterwards. Thank you. So again, you may be feeling a kind of a little shift in your body. You may be feeling calmer also. Some people experience the shifts by feeling calmer and more centered and more at peace. Do that one as well? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to do a third clearing. Good. So I'm hoping that you're all feeling a shift. That the energy feels lighter. That you feel calmer, more centered. Thank you.
Yeah, I feel more relaxed and clearer.
Yeah, the energy feels lighter, doesn't it? Yeah.
A pretty intense couple of weeks.
Okay, so I'm getting to do, the next thing I'm going to do is a general clearing, a general balancing actually. Can you see here it says chart 4, so dehydration, hydration and water. So this particular chart is for dealing with issues around hydration. And most of us in the Western world are chronically dehydrated because we drink too much alcohol, tea and coffee, and we forget to drink water. And also we're sitting at a desk a lot of the time, and then we forget to drink. So I'm going to do a kind of general correction to balance the water and the hydration in the body. And again, I'm going to do this silently. Thank you. So often when we balance hydration in the body, we get a sense of relaxation. Sometimes you feel more alert, and sometimes you feel like your mind is finally defogged.
Yeah, things are actually connecting. Working.
So shall we do name no frequency now?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the key one.
So I'm not going to go through all the charts. This is just a brief experience, but I just want to show you this chart here. So it's called Name No Frequency Programs. And as you can see, it's a long list of negative programs. So and they're organized alphabetically. So we've all got loads of these. It's very important to realize that and not to feel bad about having any of this. So if you feel any insecurity, or if you feel arrogance, or if you feel anxiety, or if you feel like a failure, this is normal. This is part of the human condition. So this is the first page, and there's a second page. You can see this. So shall I try and put it all on the same screen? It'll be very little.
I just scroll down slowly and just everyone click on what they like. Just start at the top, because it'll be too small otherwise.
Yeah. So what I would suggest is that you let your eyes just relax, and you'll be drawn to a particular word. And that's the program for you. So just let yourself be drawn. So I'm getting indulgence for me.
I'm getting poor.
Poor, okay. So I'm just going to scroll down a little bit slowly so you can see the rest of the chart. And you may find that several words are drawing you actually. But we'll just do one.
Just pick the one which is strongest for you out of if you've got a couple that come to you. You can always rewind the video and do the clearing on the other words that come up as well.
So earlier on we were talking about identifying the issue, and this is an example of identifying the issue. So when you pick a word, you're identifying what the issue is. So you're bringing consciousness to it. So now that you've identified it, I'd like you to just let yourself feel it. And the thing is that because we're multifaceted and there's lots of different parts to us, so maybe there's a part of you that feels poor and another part of you that doesn't. Yeah. So it's important to connect to that part of you who does connect to that word, to that emotion, to that feeling. So I'm going to let myself connect to that part of me who's indulgent.
I'm connecting to the feeling of being poor. It's my 3-year-old inner child, actually. I feel like.
Yeah, I think it's my inner child as well who's quite indulgent. She wants chocolate ice creams and stuff like that. So often when we connect to that part of us who holds that particular program, we may notice that there's another part of us who's judging it. Go, oh, it's bad to feel like that. Yeah?
Always the case.
Always. So you may notice that. So if you do, just allowing it to be there, just noticing the judge, the inner judge. I'm just noticing the part of me who said, not good to be indulgent.
Bad.
And then you might notice that there's another part of you who is, in a way, maybe attached to that way of being. So maybe you notice, Nicholas, that there's a part of you who's quite comfortable with this feeling of being poor. Because you're used to it.
I've been there a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's comfortable and it's not uncomfortableness.
So we're all like that. We tend to be comfortable with the things that we know. You know that saying, the devil you know. better than the devil you don't know. It's a little bit like that. So we get comfortable with our programs. So just noticing the part of you, if you can, who is attached to that particular program. I'm just noticing the part of me who's attached to being indulgent. It's comfortable with it. Like, yeah, I like to be indulgent. Yeah. Very good. So you may already have noticed that just letting yourself feel the energy and notice the judge and notice the attachment. And already you may notice that the energy is shifting. So here I want to show you a command code. So Divine Healing works with command codes. And this is a general command code. And I'm going to say this out loud, and if you like, you can also say it. So, you want to say it with me, Nicholas?
Yeah.
Yeah. We
Ask Saint Germain to pour the purple flame through the aura and subtle bodies to burn away all low-frequency energies that we have discovered, so that new, higher-level vibrations can be accessed, accepted, and encoded.
Saint Germain and Higher Self, please burn out in one go 100% the core issue through all levels and dimensions. One 100% the original cause through all levels and dimensions. 100% the source of its power through all levels and dimensions. 100% all energy attached through all levels and dimensions. And 100% all of its effects through all levels and dimensions. Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, you may feel a shift. You feel some tingling, some cold. You may find yourself yawning or sighing or burping, or even coughing.
Are you all right?
Just as an aside, I've been working in Japan or with Japanese people for the last year and a half, and Japanese people, it's highly rude to burp. So I've had to explain to them again and again that this is part of the healing process. And actually, they seem to accept it. They're very pragmatic people, I think. So I hope this has given you a little experience. Go back here. We should go back to the presentation. Yeah. So this was a little direct experience. And of course, if you're going to do the training, you're going to learn the whole of the manual. So there's 26 charts. So it's a 3-day course. Sorry, actually, it's a 4-day course now.
It's a 4-day course.
It used to be 3 days. Should we do this?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, even though you're watching this later, you can post them on the, if you view this YouTube video on Facebook, just post it in the comments below that particular posting, and Ahlmeirah will be able to answer them for you. If you're watching this directly from her YouTube channel, you can post the questions there, and she'll get around to answering you there as well. Okay.
Thank you, Nicholas.
So now on to the
Shall we go to this?
A direct experience. Yeah.
So this is basically just an information page. If you're interested in a bit more about divine healing, there's a few different options. We can have some private sessions. Usually the sessions are about 2 hours, and they can be done in person or online. And this is the cost in pounds and US dollars. And if you want some more information, you can go to my website, which is called centerofloveandenlightenment.net. And then you go to the menu which says multidimensional healing. And then you go to the Divine Healing Sessions page. You can get some more information there. And if you're interested in the training, it's a very powerful 4-day training. The next training is the 22nd to the 25th of June. And it's happening in Surrey, in the United Kingdom. And it's also happening online. And the time is 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. UK time. And if you're in
North America, it's 5 a.m. to 12 noon EST. And the full fee is $4.90, and this is the fee in US dollars. And if you want to find out more about the training, you can go to the website, centerofloveandenlightenment.net, and then you go to the trainings, and then to Divine Healing. And you'll find lots of information there, and about booking, etc. Okay. So should we stop share? Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for watching this video and for participating. As I said earlier on, this is my first time doing a webinar. So if you didn't find it very professional, apologies. I'm learning with the help of Nicholas. Thank you. But I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit, and I've also hope especially that you've enjoyed the experience.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.